You know, back in the 1980s, ABC introduced a new kind of daytime drama, one that mixed that cozy, small-town warmth with some really dark secrets and tragic romance. It was set in the fictional town of Corinth, and the show was called Loving. It promised all the tenderness, heartbreak, and scandal you could want. But oh, behind that gentle name was one of soap opera's most unforgettable journeys, and one of its most shocking endings.
Okay, so let's get into this story. It's a tragic one, for sure, from its really hopeful beginnings all the way to its unforgettable conclusion. We're going to explore how a show that was all about romance became a story about survival, and in the end, a true legend.
So our story really kicks off in 1983. Now, at the time, other soaps were all about action and adventure, right? But daytime legends Agnes Nixon and Douglas Marland, they wanted to do something different. They wanted to go back to the classics.
Their whole vision was a show built purely on romance. I mean, its original working title was actually Love Without End. The goal was to create a really traditional, heartfelt soap for a new decade, focusing on relationships, not, car chases and explosions.
And ABC gave it this huge blockbuster launch. Loving didn't just quietly debut on a weekday afternoon. Oh no, it premiered with a 2-hour primetime movie, and it starred major film actors like Lloyd Bridges and Geraldine Page. It was this grand entrance, basically designed to tell the world that a big new story had arrived.
So, let's go there. Let's head to the town of Corinth, Pennsylvania. On the surface, it's this charming little college town, but underneath, it was hiding years of heartbreak and betrayal. This was the stage where all the drama was about to unfold. At the absolute heart of Corinth, you had two families from totally opposite sides of the tracks, the working-class, blue-collar Donovans and the wealthy, blue-blood Aldens. Their conflicts, their secrets, their forbidden romances, that was the engine that really drove the show in its early years. But here's the thing, Loving wasn't just simple romance. It got into some really heavy, real-world stuff. The show explored the deep trauma of Vietnam veterans, the struggles of alcoholism, and even some really scandalous storylines, like an illicit family relationship. It just proved that beneath that gentle title was a show that was willing to tackle some dark and really complex human drama. And oh, the characters, they really became the soul of the show. You had the sweet Stacey Donovan, who was actually the only original cast member to last the entire run. Then there was the scheming Ava Rescott and the long-suffering matriarch Gwyneth Alden. I mean, these are the faces that viewers invited into their homes for over a decade. But, for all the drama happening on screen, a different kind of storm was gathering behind the scenes. The show was really fighting to find its footing, to find its audience. The story of Loving off-camera was honestly just as dramatic as what we saw on TV.
And this right here really shows the constant creative chaos. The show had what you'd call a revolving door of head writers. The leadership was changing hands almost every couple of years. And that kind of constant shifting makes it incredibly difficult to build consistent long-term stories that people can really invest in.
And that instability, well, it really showed up in the ratings. I mean, it had a decent start. It peaked at 10th place, but for most of its 12-year run, Loving was consistently the lowest-rated soap opera on network television. It just couldn't seem to find a large, loyal audience to stick with it.
The situation got so bad that ABC did something you almost never see. The network actually assigned its own programming VPs, Hades Granger and later Joanne Emmerich, to step in and act as executive producers. It was a real last-ditch effort to try and save a sinking ship.
So, by 1995, ABC finally made the call. Loving was canceled. But they gave the show's new writers a really unique opportunity. They said, okay, end it, but end it in a way that no one will ever forget. And boy, did they deliver. They came up with one of the boldest, most audacious final storylines in TV history, the Corinth Killer. All of a sudden, a mysterious murderer started stalking the town, pecking off the show's main characters one by one. Fans were horrified and totally captivated. Who in the world was doing this? And just look at who was being killed off. These weren't minor characters. We're talking about Stacey Donovan, the show's original heroine, members of the powerful Alden family. These were the pillars of the series, just systematically eliminated. I mean, Stacey was killed off by a poisoned powder puff. It was just absolutely stunning.
And the killer, in the end, was the one person no one ever saw coming. It was the gentle, long-suffering matriarch of the Alden family, Gwyneth. It was truly one of the most chilling and just haunting twists in the history of soap operas. Her motive was just as tragic as her actions were horrifying. You see, in her fractured mind, she wasn't murdering her friends and family. She believed she was saving them from their earthly suffering. And after her final act, she injected herself with poison, ending the reign of terror and her own pain.
But believe it or not, the story didn't completely end there. On a Friday, Loving aired its final grim episode. And then, the very next Monday, a brand new show, The City, premiered. It followed the survivors of the massacre as they fled Corinth to start new lives in New York City. The tragedy of one show literally gave birth to another.
So, what is the lasting impact of a show that ended so tragically? I mean, how do we remember a series that struggled for so long only to go out in such a blaze of glory?
Well, for all its struggles with ratings, Loving was on the air for over a decade. It produced more than 3,000 episodes. Think about that. For a generation of daytime viewers, it was a constant, familiar presence, and it really did leave a significant mark on the television landscape. And for anyone who wants to experience all this drama firsthand, or for longtime fans who just want to relive the memories, the world of Corinth isn't entirely lost. You can actually find a lot of classic episodes and unforgettable clips from both Loving and its spinoff, The City, online. It began as a story about love, and it ended in heartbreak. But in between, Loving gave viewers 12 years of passion, family, and unforgettable emotion. Corinth may be gone, but for those of us who remember, its stories, they still echo.